and this is your parlour, this is your Civic Centre. So you're extremely welcome here, and it's lovely to have you. Now what we're going to do this afternoon is Patrick, who is our mace bearer, is going to take you round and give what he'll do. If you will stay seated, you probably will be able to see everything that he will talk to you about. Just a little bit about the staff, how this place operates. We have 3 girls in the office that do all the correspondence, do all the engagements, etc. for the mayor. We have 2 chauffeurs. One works at the weekend, and one works the 5 days during the week. So we're extremely lucky in Hillingdon, because a lot of the other boroughs in London, there is one mayor actually who rides a bike, which is not good news. So we are very well blessed with a lot of staff that do a super job for us. So I will say no more, and I'll introduce Patrick, who's our mace bearer, and he will just go around and just briefly explain what's in here.
Just to say hello, and again, welcome to the parlour. Hillingdon came into being in '65. Before that, we had the Borough of Uxbridge from 55 to 65. That's why we actually have the 2 maces there. So you have the Borough of Uxbridge, which then, because of the charter, had its mayor, deputy mayor from 55 to 65. And before that, you had the urban district councils. So you had the urban district council of Uxbridge, Hayes and Harlington, Ruislip and Norwood, Useley and West Drayton, which, when you look at sort of on the badge here, you've got the 4 areas. On the badge, you've got 4 laurel leaves on the top, which is the 4 areas coming together, which is how Hillingdon is made up. And then you've got the different elements of there. For example, from Ruislip, on the actual coat of arms, you've actually got a piece of rye which has been cut, what they call a slip cut. So it's a pun on rye slip. I think they've had a treatment that made it, but that's also, on the full coat of arms, you've actually got the North Star, because of about the RAF Uxbridge, West Drayton, the association with the air, as well as London, now of course Heathrow Airport. So anywhere in the world, if you look at the North Star, Hillingdon is directly below it. Yeah, I'm sure some people, these scientists will probably disclaim it, but it's a matter of opinion. But again, there's different parts on there, which is part of the 4 areas coming together. So like, for example, you've got forward on the bottom there, which is actually the from the Hayes coat of arms, which is the motto from Hayes. So there's different elements on there which incorporate the four areas. On the wall here, we've actually got the charters of the boroughs, which the other one is, of course, Hillingdon one. And if you look in the corner, there's actually another leaflet which you'll probably be given later, which is this one, which is the history and the role of the mayor. And it actually has quite an extensive sort of review of everything on there. And we're quite lucky because on our charter we've actually got a small badge. I don't like to put my back to people. There's a badge on there, which is actually a simplified version of the full coat of arms. So you've got 7 points on the star there. So it's Hayes and Harlington, Ruislip and Norwood, Useley, West Drayton, Uxbridge, pulling together. You've got the strength, the unity of the castle, the cohesion of everybody working together. There's over 800 acres of woodland in Hillingdon, which is the green on it, and also London is surrounded by a green belt, so that signifies the green around London and also the greenness of Hillingdon. So that's a simplified version of the full coat of arms, which is underused in my opinion because a lot of people don't even know they have a badge, which is actually incorporated on the charter, which is one of the few boroughs that actually have a badge and a coat of arms. The maces behind the ladies here, you can always come and have a look later. The Hillingdon one, which is on the left here, which is a simplified, is quite plain, but again, when actually any member of the Royal Family, Prince Philip is always interested in the mace because most of the maces are actually gold coloured. and ours is silver, so it's quite a modern mace. And he always comes and, you know, if we're doing anything, he will always come and have a look at the mace and say, oh, it's Hillingdon. Which, again, I hope that's a good thing.
Yes.
That remembers.
Yes.
And also, for example, when in the presence of Her Majesty, the mace has no meaning because it's the authority of the Crown. That's why you see it in the House of Commons, in front of the Speaker, because Her Majesty can't possibly be in every meeting, so the mace is the personification of the monarch. So when Her Majesty is around, so when she actually visits, I would actually put the mace upside down or reversing the mace. So, oh, thank you.
Because you're not allowed to touch the beacon, are
No,
you?
because it's like putting your hands on the Queen.
Oh,
You wouldn't put your hands without gloves on.
right.
You know, it's one of those things. So this one is what I refer to as mini mace. Uxbridge Technical College made this. So normally I would carry the mace like that. When Her Majesty is present, I would refer to as reversing the mace. So I would be carrying it like that. So if you saw myself or something like me and the mace is virtually upside down, should I pay more attention because the Queen must have just walked past you. Okay? But in fact, when you actually hold the mace upside down, it's actually the correct way of holding the mace. Because if you, if anybody's noticed the Bayeux tapestry, yeah? On the Bayeux tapestry, you've got Bishop Odo, who's the half-brother of King William. And clerics at that time could not cut skin, so they weren't allowed to carry swords, but they could smash your head in. So they actually carried maces as a form of defence. And when they held the mace ordinary, they would actually hold it between that. So over the years, it's got more symbolic and elaborate. So before they would hold it, and it would protect their hand against blows from swords or anything like that. So in fact, when you're in the presence of Her Majesty, you're actually carrying it the right way to actually hit somebody. Because it goes back to the old treason laws. In performance of my duties, because usually the dignitary that you're in front of, in procession, you would be walking down. If anybody tries to stop the dignitary going where they need to go, in those days, the king, I could actually hit you with the mace. You can't sue me, I can't be arrested, because it all goes back to the old treason laws. I'm still waiting for permission to go down the high street, but they won't be doing it.
Can you actually, Patrick, can you actually kill someone who still would not be...
Yeah, because technically in performance of my duties, you know, in the civic procession, which is, that's why most, you know, when you see somebody carrying a mace, they're usually in front of the dignitaries. So if you actually try and stop them going to where they need to go, because everything is open to them, it's like hindering them. So it's actually a form of treason. So...
Not a lot of people know that.
You know, a lot more now, but... But again, it's very symbolic of the actual... the rights of procession, you know, the rights of people who are granted. You know, again, sort of like... Does anybody know what they call a collection of mares?
A nest.
No. The chain. The chain gang. But I always used to think it was the Australian, but it's not that Australian.
Patrick, can I just say something?
Yeah.
Is that right? Is that right, Curtis?
No.
Just to tell, especially the girls, I have found it very difficult because when he walks through a door, I have to go behind
That's
him.
right. We're all
And when
women
he
today.
walks, I have to walk behind him. I find that very difficult.
And actually, I find it very difficult because my mum and dad told me that you always let a woman through the door first. And I found that extremely difficult.
But it's protocol, isn't it?
Absolutely right.
And also, you know, for example, when Her Majesty became Queen, you're probably all aware that she was in Kenya when she became Queen. So she goes out as Princess, comes back as Queen. So they're not really hand in hand when they actually leave Prince Philip and Princess, but they're side by side. So when she actually comes back, which you can actually see on the photograph over there, Her Majesty is coming down the steps first, and Prince Philip is still on the plane. Because he has to wait until technically she puts her feet on the soil before he comes and joins her. But I think over the years nobody's really had to actually tell him. But on there, and there's a sort of a bit of trivia for you. When Her Majesty travelled because she knew her father was going to die, this is the first time they actually included black clothing within their luggage, because at one time they would actually borrow or buy it if they actually had to attend a funeral when they were out of the country. This time they actually put everything in the luggage, and this is the first time black clothing was actually included in the actual luggage. But Her Majesty actually forgot black gloves. So when she actually came back, and the ambassador's wife of Kenya actually states now that she never got the gloves she's wearing in that photograph actually belongs to the ambassador's wife, because they're formal gloves. And she actually states that she's never had them returned. They've never been paid for. Because it's one of those things that, you know, she says they're probably worth quite a bit now, but she's never offered to have them cleaned. Now we're going back to the 50s, and she still remembers, you know. So it's quite important on that photo, because you've got Sir Winston Churchill, Clement Attlee, Anthony Eden. It's one of the earliest recorded signatures, because it's actually dated 1952, Elizabeth R. And if you look closely at the photograph, just below the A, there's a face at the window, and that's actually Lady Pamela Hicks, whose father, of course, was Ambassador of Burma. So she was lady-in-waiting to Princess Elizabeth. She never became lady-in-waiting to the Queen, because it's a cousin, it's a family member of the family, and no matter what the sort of like mistress of the bedchamber or what your title would be, you wouldn't have a family member as a servant. So she became just Princess Elizabeth's lady-in-waiting, not the Queen's lady-in-waiting. Again, that's quite significant, because where the plane actually landed is the Bath Road. And the Renaissance Hotel on the Bath Road. Yeah. If you actually go into there when they had it refurbished, because I had to remind them to put the plaque back, because it was actually in there. They refurbished it, they took the plaque out, and they never actually put it back. I had to remind them, being Jubilee year, it was significant that they actually, and then they actually got the Duke of Kent to unveil it. Yeah. And it's only because they actually found the plaque and they had it redone. But it was a shocking thing for them to actually take everything out and not even say, you know, because it's quite historical that this is where Her Majesty first stepped on soil. And the middle one is actually an illuminated address which was sent on all of your behalves to Her Majesty. And it was well received, and there's a couple of letters there to actually, you know, say thank you for the... And of course, the other photos, it's actually of Hayes and the Jubilee visit. There's one or two other bits and pieces around, but, you know, I'm open to questions. And
you've got the town crier.
Oh, the town crier. I suppose everybody remembers Oliver, don't they?
Yeah, Oliver, yeah.
You know when you said you actually... You fed him meat, just to make sure everybody's awake. And what do you think this wood is?
Oak.
What do pandas eat?
Bamboo.
Yeah, bamboo. Because at that time, if you actually look at the wood, bamboo was a very expensive wood, so it showed the status of the person, his staff of office was made with bamboo. So it was a very expensive wood.
How old is that, Patrick?
Of late 18th century. You know, so it's quite...
Yeah.
And of course the original hat. But I won't let you try it on, because health and safety don't allow you to put other headgear on now, in case, you know, we transmit things.
Yes.
But we've got the, you know, the bell and the hat, and there is actually a picture of the person,
Yes,
you know, from 1800.
And Patrick, also outside is the one of the
Uxbridge town crier, yes. And he was actually at one of the schools, which, you know, we brought him fully boxed.
Yes.
Is it Bishop's Holt?
Yeah, Bishop's Holt.
Okay.